All right, good morning, everyone. It is 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Today is the 30th. Tomorrow's the last day of May. And then we start getting into June to hotter weather. It's supposed to be in the 80s today. What I came here to talk to you about, excuse me, I'm just a little out of breath moving about 150 pounds of compost by myself is kind of tiring. Speaking of compost, I've had some people ask us, what do we fill our beds with? What do we put in our containers for soil? And I know a big box store in Presque Isle this weekend had quote-unquote garden soil on sale for like $2 a bag. It was crazy cheap. And I'm going to tell you, if you put that in your raised bed or you put it in your containers, it's a good way to kill your plants. And this is why, okay? This quote-unquote garden soil, you mix it, one bag of that to 3 parts of your native soil. So let's say this was the soil that I dug out of the ground, okay? This is our compost. If this was the soil that I dug out of the ground, for every cubic foot of that garden soil, I'd have to put 4 cubic feet of our soil from our property. We have clay soil here, okay? And the number one way to take care of clay soil is with good natural compost. Now, where do you get compost? Well, you can buy compost. Most of the compost you're going to get in the bag, unless it's a year old, is not going to be what they call finished. It's still going to be breaking down a little bit. The cow manure compost is good if you wait a year, buy it in the fall on sale or on clearance or whatever. Leave it till the spring, okay? This way it has time to finish. If you make your own, this is stuff that we put in our beds last year. Throughout the summer and into the fall, we filled our beds, or our compost bins. We have one large one that does about 4 cubic feet or 4 cubic yards of compost, and we have another one that does about 8, and another one that does about 2, and that provides us our compost for the entire season. Now, how much compost do you really need? Well, if you're planting in topsoil, in ground, or in peat moss, you need 2 inches of compost over your entire bed, container, whatever, to feed your plants for the entire season. If you have a good quality compost, it's going to feed your garden for the entire season. Now, if you look over here, okay, this bed I'm filling entirely with compost. This bed started out with bagged potting mix, okay? It was raised bed potting mix. It's a tan bag from Miracle Grow. It was organic. And that's how we started. But I put 10.5 inches on this bed. Okay? So I have to fill up 18 feet long, 14 feet wide, and 10 inches deep. Well, actually 8, because on the top 2 inches I'll put pine shavings. Okay, this is normally used for animal bedding. We get it really cheap. It's $1 a cubic foot, and we'll put that on top of our beds. It'll take 2 to 3 bags per bed, depending on the bed, and that'll do a lot of weed prevention throughout the season. So a lot of people believe that you put 1 or 2 parts topsoil to 1 part of compost, that you don't need a lot of compost. I like to grow in 100% compost if I can. However, our compost bin gets, if we have any dead plants, if we have any leftover potting mix from our grow bags, anything that we mixed up that died off and we want to dump our grow bags and not refertilize them, which we don't have to use fertilizer because we grow in compost, that we put that in our compost bin. This way we get, if you look, let's see if I can find some. If you look in our compost, you'll find these little tiny rock pieces. This is perlite. There's a little bit of vermiculite in here as well. Eggshells. Typically, I wouldn't use fertilizer. However, fertilizer contains copper and magnesium. And if you get black spots on your basil or on your pepper plants, it's a bacteria black spot. And using fertilizer that has, copper and magnesium in it will take care of that. So that's why I add a little bit of fertilizer to our compost. But feeding wise, I plant 100% in compost. And I know that we're going to get nice, big, luscious plants all season. And so I'm working on filling this bed today. And I am hauling load after load of compost. Now, what are the different kinds of compost? Well, mushroom compost is not for growing mushrooms, okay? What they do is they take logs that grow mushrooms, and after about 3 or 4 growings, they will take the log breaks down because there's nothing left to it. It's just a carbon source now. And they'll throw it in with either kelp meal, seaweed, alfalfa, mix it up, and those logs from that mushroom now becomes compost. They call it mushroom compost. Makes sense, right? Now, cow manure compost is exactly that. It's cow manure and either pine shavings, straw, something of that nature that has been mixed. It's been aged, because you can't use fresh cow manure on a bed. You'll burn your plants. That's why I say if you get it, you wait, get it in the fall. Leave it either in your barn, in your garage. If you got a trailer, leave it in your trailer. If you're not using your trailer through the winter. I don't use my trailer. My trailer gets used for storage in the winter. It gets cleaned out in the spring. Our garden beds, we have these metal hoops for them that we put over them. We could store it in that, and it won't freeze 100% solid. And then when it gets warmer out, put that hoop away. When it gets warmer out, that bed will warm up faster. Those bags will defrost, and I can put it straight in the bed. However, compost can be rather expensive. If you're buying it bagged, you're looking probably $3 to $4 a bag. If you're buying it by the yard, you're looking probably $40 to $60 a yard wherever you live. If you are making it yourself, then it's free. It's scrap food, right? Scrap vegetables. That's why we have a garden. We love vegetables. So you probably have, lawn clippings you can put in it. You have leaves in the fall you can put it in if you want to. We leave our leaves to break down so the minerals go back in the ground for the trees. We pull weeds out of our bed. We compost them because our compost gets hot to 140 degrees during the summer. It doesn't get that hot during the winter, but everything breaks down. That's how we get all the stuff we need. Is we put our last of our compost stuff in the fall, breaks down over winter. So basically, you can grow in almost anything you want, but make sure you read. If you're buying bag stuff, read the bag. Make sure what you're growing in. I would try to stay away from horse-based compost. I know overseas and even some parts of the United States, they had an issue where some weed killer had gotten into horse feed from a farm. And that weed killer went through the horse's digestive system, made the horse sick. The horse pooped. They composted the horse manure. The weed killer survived. It got into the compost, and it killed off everyone's gardens. They had that issue for a couple years. So try to stay away from horse manure unless it's your horse and you know what your horse is eating. You are composting your horse's own manure. So, excuse me. That's a bad thing with allergies out here in the garden. But today we're filling this garden bed so we can get ready for our peppers. We're bringing out our peppers tonight after my wife gets off work, or maybe after supper, to harden off. And I'll do a video to show you how to harden off your plants. typically we plant ours on June 2nd. We're not showing any frost. We had our last frost last week, which is really, really crazy early for us. Normally we have frost on June 1st. I don't put my plants in the ground until between June 2nd and June 7th. However, I haven't hardened them off yet. So if I get them out tonight, I can get them in by the 7th. I'll show you how to plant your peppers, your tomatoes. We're doing something different with our tomatoes this year. This is going to be kind of fun. So I'm going to show you that. And we're also going to do an experiment in our grow tables, which I got to build 2 more grow tables. On our grow tables of different fertilizers versus no fertilizer versus just compost, okay? And we're going to use old potting mix in these bags. One of them we're going to mix compost in. The other one we're going to leave alone. And the rest, we're going to add some kind of fertilizer to, or we're going to use a water-soluble fertilizer on it. We've got some organic stuff and some inorganic stuff. And we're going to show you how, what the different results are. And I think you're going to be really surprised at what we get. We're also going to talk about blight. I was in a gardening group last night, and there was someone dealing with blight, and on how to take care of it and cure it, or to prevent it. We're also going to show you how we build our garden beds this week. So I hope you're going to join us. You're going to come back and see more and more. For those of you that watch, I thank you. We seem to get some views right after I post it, which is nice. I like that. So again, grow what you want to grow in. Make sure of what you're growing in. But if you want to, don't let anyone tell you that there's anything wrong with growing in 100% compost, because we do it, and you've seen the results that we get. I thank you for watching. I thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great day. I'm going to try to get the work done so I can mow the lawn and start a new compost bin. So I'll talk to you later. Bye. Remember, keep your food spicy, your thumb green, which actually mine today is brown, but that's okay. That's compost. That's good. So we'll talk to you later.